Welcome in everybody to another edition of the Fighting for Overtime podcast. I'm your host, Coach Tony, and tonight have another fantastic guest, former player, coach, and current coach, doing all kinds of things. Today's guest is a true basketball lifer, from a decorated high school career in Texas to Louisiana Tech to playing professionally overseas and now shaping the next generation as a coach. Just a quick highlight: Texas high school legend, 3,000 plus points, player of the year, Louisiana Tech standout, 1,000 plus points, 500 plus assists, elite defender, don't say that lightly, overseas pro career, WNBA opportunities, coach and youth development, AAU, ABA. When you look back at your journey, LaQuan Stallworth, what part of the game shaped you the most? Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I think as my journey, it was the coaches that kind of shaped me, because as a young age, you're out there, you're wild, and you're
Yeah.
just basically doing everything, thinking you know everything. And I had like a lot of coaches that came into my life that structured and just basically taught. They didn't only teach about basketball, but they implemented life lessons into basketball. And I think that was very important. And they just had a sense of caring. Like, I got you. You're safe with me. You're going to be safe with everybody else. And this is how things work. So it's just basically, they just gave you a path of, not only is it for court, but it's also for life.
Listen, I say that all the time. All my years of coaching and coaches I had growing up, it's more than just on the court. It's modeling these kids into, listen, they're going into adulthood. I always felt like it's our responsibility to make sure we do everything possible to make sure these kids grow and have opportunities off the court. So it sounds like you had a lot of good mentors growing up in that area.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Very
Oh,
grateful.
and I forgot. I can't let this go. This year inducted into the Texas High School Basketball Hall of Fame. So
Yes.
congratulations on that. It's a big honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well deserved, obviously. Well deserved. Now, you started playing at a young age. Obviously, I think that's kind of cliche, right? Everybody normally does. But when did you kind of realize that, you know what, this basketball game, this is definitely going to be for me?
I will say, because being from a small town, it was like you didn't separate the girls from the boys. So if you wanted to go out there, you had to play against the boys. And I knew when I walked, going up to the park every day, going to the park every day, and just playing basketball, when I realized that I can outplay some of the guys on the court, I knew. I was like, okay, I got something here, because I'm so competitive. I don't care who you are, female, male. I was like, I'm going to bring it to you. And so I just knew. And then playing at the park, and then when it's time to pick teams, and the boy starts to pick you on the team ahead of some of the other boys, it's like, okay, yes, I got something. They see something in me that I may not see just yet, but I know I can play with them, and I think that kind of changed my perspective on myself.
You know right there. You're like, yo, I'm a baller. Right. You try to be, you try to be modest, but right there, man, when you're getting picked and you're not the last one on the bench, and all of a sudden now people are scheming after you, and you're like, okay, I think I'm a baller now. And again, obviously in high school, we talked about your resume. You were a dominant player. And by the way, so small town, do I remember hearing from you only like 6,000 people in your town?
Yes, correct. Only six.
Wow.
Yes.
That's small. That's
Yes.
small. That's small. So you basically, I mean, in a way, I mean, I guess we could say you put the town on the map, on the map.
I mean, me and the other players.
You're modest. You're modest. I like that. I like that. But now, how did you? Because a lot of this show, and I tell people all the time, it's about, obviously it says anxiety and achievements, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on that we're going to get to in the youth sports world. And we'll get into that in general a little later. But just as you, obviously, how did you handle these expectations, if you did have any, and any kind of pressure you had early on?
It was basically, but probably in elementary, because we have a league in Silsbee, which we call Little Dribblers, which is, it's smaller than the AAU, but it's little dribblers, and then we get to that next stage.
Okay.
And so, with that, like I said, it was no girls team. Like, we had a league, and you had to play on the boys team. And when I got on the team, Little Dribblers, I'm starting point guard, a female, starting point guard playing against all these guys. And then at the end of the season, it's all-star team, all-star. I'm making all-star every year making all-star and starting for the all-star team with these guys. So it's just, we got this female for the guys traveling, playing. And the expectation came, oh, when she gets to junior high, so it was just like, they was just ready for me to come to junior high. And then it was like, oh, when she gets to high school, what she's gonna do and things like that. So it was already kind of in the drawing board, but it was just up to me to kind of make that, who am I, make myself a statement and go from there.
Listen, early on, I mean, that's a big deal. Now, you go through that early on phase. Obviously, the pressure's got to continue to build, right? Because let's be honest. I mean, you're playing at Louisiana Tech for some pretty two big name coaches at that time, right? And in that environment, what did not only the coaches, but what did they teach you and yourself about, like, discipline and accountability?
I think going into Louisiana Tech, it was more of history, tradition. So it's like, you come here, how you gonna live up to this? And you think about it, you had Teresa Witherspoon playing, Vicki Johnson that played at Louisiana Tech, Raquel Spurlock, you had Janice Lawrence, Deborah Rodman, Dennis Rodman's sister. So you had Pam Kelly, like, greats that played there. And it was just like, how do you live up to this expectation? And then, so getting there, it was a lot to learn. It was a lot to learn, because now you're not the only person. You're not just you have four other people that can score, and then some coming off the bench that can score, that can dish, that can do different things. So now it was just more of, how are you going to mesh all this together and be able to play with others? And so I think that was the one thing that the coaches really relied on. It was just like, hey, you know what? When we step on the court, we're family. We don't, whatever you decide to do outside the court, you don't have to talk. But you know what? We keep everything in house. You come on the court, you play as one, and that was the biggest thing.
I love that, because I had the last coach that I had on last week. He said something around that same sentiments, where he said, listen, I tell the girls I coach all the time, you don't have to be best friends off the court. Like, you just have to respect each other. You have to respect each other and help each other while you're here. And hearing you say it as a former player and now coach, it just shows that it's such a huge part of everything.
Yes, indeed.
So now, again, you were known for your defense, because you got some pretty good defensive statistics out there, right? So, from that, where do you think that mentality came from?
I had to transition. Because, when you start looking at your team, it's like, okay, this person can do this, you can do this person can do this person can do this, but also, what can you be counted on when it's time to get in there? So I had to kind of transition myself. Okay, I know I can score, but scoring ain't always the best thing, because you have others that can score. So if my game is off, or if I'm just handling a point guard, being able to dish it and get them to score, what can I do to get them hyped up, to get the team hyped up? And so I was like, defense. And that was something that I really worked on out. And my thing was, how do I stop one of the top players on the next team to make us have that victory? And so that was one of the things that I really worked on, and I changed my game to just become a defensive stopper.
I love that because, again, just from myself and having other people on, and obviously I'm talking to you, you hear about just being ready, right? Looking around when you get to that level of play, there's no more of, you're going to be the only one that can do this. It's like, okay, how can I contribute? And that brings me to the question of the youth athlete today, right? Like, in your opinion, do they totally understand the value of defense, effort, non-glory roles, and how hard is it to really put that into their mindset? Yeah,
Well,
I,
I'm gonna say from the youth all the way into the NBA, I think only college level really understands defense. Mostly everybody wants to play offense, everybody wants to shoot, but you have to understand you can get advantage of any player if you learn to play both ends. And that's the thing that a lot of players don't even think about today in today's game, because the thing is, oh, how many points? They want to look in the book, how many points I have. Okay, did you see how many turnovers you have? How many assists you have? Okay, how many steals? Because steals is a part of defense. And then how many turnovers that you committed for the other team for you to get a fast break? Because that was my thing. Defense, when you play good defense, fast break, that's the easiest points besides free throws.
that's true. That's true. Listen, Dennis, you mentioned, the name Rodman. Well, guess what? Dennis Rodman made a living of being a defensive stalwart, right? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that's how he made his bread. He couldn't shoot a free throw. He couldn't shoot. But damn, like, did anybody else ever lock down Shaq one-on-one better than Dennis Rodman? Like, it's just crazy, man. Crazy. So
And the crazy story to that, Dennis Rodman learned from his sister, Deborah. She's older than him. So everything Deborah did, Dennis took that, and that's how he became successful. So
really,
yes, she was one of his mentors, his guides, and like he really tailored her game in order to become something different, because when he was in high school, he could score. He could score. And then when he went to college, he could score when he wanted to, but he seen what his sister did. How can I stand out? Defense and rebound.
check that. Say that is listen to all you kids out there listening. Listen, that's something to really pay attention to for sure. For sure. Now, you did talk about obviously the college transition, and listen, you went to 2 Final Fours in 4 years. I mean, that's a big high level of competition. So, when looking at that, how hard is it to sustain that level of competition?
Ooh, man, I tell you, it's like going through the tournaments, the conference and everything. You fight, because back then when we were playing, it was like your schedule had to be like you had to play the top 25 teams. You had to play in order to stay in the ranking. So it was determined how hard your schedule was in order for you to move on and then get that best seed when it became to March Madness. And then going through March Madness, anybody could win, because you have Cinderella teams that will knock out big teams, because everybody went up a notch, and everybody started doing things that they didn't do during the regular season, during the conference, because they were putting their body and soul and their mind into it. It was like, how can we keep going? Because you lose, you out. So everybody just took it to a different level. And I would just say, like we beat Tennessee that whole entire year, and then we get to the national championship. We had some people on the team to say, "Oh yeah, we done beat them the whole year," But it's different when you get in that championship game, because some people start to freeze up, and then you're like,
Yep.
"Hold on, what happened?" So and then they just got the best of us. Shamika Holslaw, she's a wonderful, great player. She doesn't get the recognition like she should. She's probably one of the best players ever to play the game.
Listen, I watch it from afar, so I can't imagine being in there in it, how tense it is. And like you said, it again, it's a lot that goes into it, because not only do you have the season, then you have the conference tourney, and then you're going to the final, you're going to the March Madness, you're going to the big tour. Like, it's just constant, and you go right into it. It's not like you
Yes.
have any breaks, right? I mean, it's like you finish up on these conference tournaments on Monday, Sunday, and then
Yes.
boom, Thursday you playing again.
Yes.
No, listen, I love watching from afar, but to be able to speak to somebody that's been in it, I mean, it's been huge. And thinking about the whole dynamic of how hard, like you said, and that brings us to burnout, balance, mental health, which is the core of the Fighting for Overtime podcast. And you've seen this game at every level. You see it now as a coach. Burnout. Have number one, were you ever affected by it? Did you ever see it coming on? Or, where would you say it actually starts?
I will say personally, I didn't get burnt out because I love the game so much that it was like adrenaline to me. It was like I'm hyped. Like I didn't want to stop. It's like let's keep going, let's keep
Yep.
going. So it was just a different for me because when you play the game and you're playing it for yourself and for love, it's a different aspect. When the money comes involved, oh, it's all about money then. It's not really about the love, it's about money. And I mean, you could just be honest, but it was like if you go out there every single day and just put your body out there and that's something you want to do, you don't get that burnout. To me, you don't. But I will say others have gone through it. And the thing is, the only thing you can do is just be there when they need you, and be able to talk to them and different side. But their help has to come from somewhere else. Their help has to come from somewhere else because you can only do so much. And
Yep.
I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not a doctor or
Yep.
anything like that. But I can just say I have my hand out when you need me.
Now, I tell you what, and spot on, 100%. We're not a therapist, right? It's like, listen, we're there to help, and at least we can, let us know what's going on and lead you in the right direction on
Exactly.
where to get professional help if need be. But I think you're gonna like this. What's great about this question is the way you answered in the beginning by saying no because you love the game and you just want it more. I had, again, shout out to her, 17-year-old Avery Coker, who is a senior this year in my township, who is going to play college ball, who scored over 1,000 points for the first time in 34 years. And I had her on and I asked her the same question. And you know what she said to me was the same thing. She's like, honestly, I love playing a game. I want to play it even more. I've never felt burnout. And just to be able to see the difference in obviously ages and career and time spans, right? And different eras, and to hear her say it and then hear you say it, I think it's great because I do think that there's other ends of it. Yes, it is something that is running rampant,
Yeah.
and we'll get into that more. Maybe it's coming from the parents, maybe it's coming from bad coaching. I'm not sure, but it is nice to hear the other side of it to say, no, actually, I've never felt burnout because I just love what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like a job. Like I said to her, it's like, I told her, hey, listen, when you get older and you start working, are you working to just get a paycheck? Or are you working for something you actually love? Because when you're working for a paycheck, guess what? You may get burnt out because you're just tired of doing the same thing all over again. But if you're doing something you love, you never get tired because you keep doing it and doing it, and you just want to get better. You want to do it more. So it's pretty cool how it all comes around. It really does. Now, specializing. That's a good question. I have several different thoughts from other guests have come on about our kids specializing too early. Now, first, I would say, as you were younger, were you involved in any other sport except basketball? And looking at now, do you think kids are specializing too early in just one sport, or do you feel like, maybe they should be able to play multiple sports?
I think you should be able to play multiple sports. I mean, I played baseball with the guys, so we almost made it to the Little League World Series, but we was one game away.
Wow.
So, and I started. I start on a shortstop. I pitched. I was a catcher, and I played outfield with the guys, and I started. So it was just like you have to see what is your niche, because if you're okay in something, but what if you're great in something else? I mean, I did volleyball for a little bit, I did track for a little bit, but I knew, when I knew basketball was the end to all end, then that was my focus, to make sure that I didn't get hurt, because I knew my offers was going to come in, and that way I could be prepared and prepare myself for the next level.
I I always say too, with the multiple sports, and talked about this a lot, is different sports, with your muscles and your coordination, and they
Yes.
teach you different things. I mean, you just talked about volleyball. Totally different. I mean, the athletic skill set that you need from volleyball can be totally different from another sport, and you may need both of them to train your body to kind of develop in different ways.
Yes, 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 indeed.
Yeah.
Everything go hands in hand.
Yep, and I think we lose a lot of focus with that.
Yes.
I really do. Now, here's an interesting question for you, and this will be as a coach. If a kid said to you, Coach, I'm done. I don't love this anymore. What would your response be to them?
It depends on the kid. I will say, if I see potential in that kid, then that's a whole different conversation, because then I'm talking to that kid. I'm like, hey, let me just, I'll probably take that kid somewhere to show them, let's go to a game, let's go to the next level, let's go see what they're doing, let you come work out with me. So that's kind of, and I invest a lot when I see potential in a kid. If I see, but the thing is, you have to have potential not only on the court, but you have to have a potential off the court as well, because I'm not going to waste my time if you're sitting, getting in trouble in school, not having the right grades, and getting in trouble with the cops and stuff like that, because you're messing up your opportunity that can get you out of this. And so it just, that conversation will be different. And then versus a kid that's out there, not for them, but for their parents. Because a lot of parents force kids, because, oh, let me just take you to go play basketball or football or whatever, so they can go do something else, and they don't have to watch their kid at that moment, because they're into a sports and they got 2 hour practice. So that's a different conversation. Then it's like, no, find something that you love, that you're interested in, because it may not be athletics, it may be something with academics, and it may be something with music, it just could be a whole different thing. And so that way you have to find something that you truly want to invest your time in, that you like to do, and that you will eventually fall in love with it. And so, you can't do anything your parents, because your parents can't go out there and play for you, your parents can't go play an instrument for you, so you have to do it for you.
So true. So true. Now, you said that key word, in parents. Let me ask you this. What do you think parents get wrong most in youth sports today?
In the sports today, I think parents don't see any fault in their kids. That's the first thing. And don't allow a coach to be a coach. This era is so soft that if a coach yells, oh, let's get the coach fired. If the coach come jack you up and grab you by the collar and say, to all that, to us was like, oh, you just woke up the beast in me. You just woke up the
Yep.
beast in me. Now I'm gonna go play another level, because I know you care, and you're showing me that you care, and you know that I got more potential than I'm putting out. But parents today, you say the wrong thing, they either want to fight the coach, get the coach fired. They don't see any fault in their children. They want a coach from the stands. And it's just I don't know. They don't hold their kids to accountable for things.
So true. I love your perspective, because that's I was always, the coach, uh, that was up in your face, and it's because I coached both, and that now obviously when I coached my daughter when we were coaching softball, it was a little different, but when I'm
Yeah.
coaching my boys in soccer and I see the potential that they have, I'm the one that gets up in their face. I'm the one to yell. And I would always hear parents, listen to this coach, man. He's way out of line. He's too. But guess what? At the end of the day, those kids always thank me at the end because they were like, you know what, coach, you brought the best out of me. Like I needed that. I needed that. And I love that you just said the word soft because I do think that we are too soft in this generation. I mean, these kids, listen, I understand that you have to have a balance. I get it. And I understand that you're gonna know this. It's when you get to that point. Every kid is different. Some kids can take more, some kids can take less. However, doesn't mean you can't give it to them in a different aspect. Doesn't mean that you can't you're always working towards that. And you say about the parents, it's so big because, from your perspective, I was going to ask you what behaviors hurt a player's development. Well, guess what? From a parent, you already mentioned it, right?
Yeah.
Now, so let me ask you this: have you ever had to check a parent?
I usually, when I tell the parents from the beginning, I say, I'm the coach. You want to coach from the stands? What you could do is take your kid and you get out this door. So you decide. So I let the parents know up front, you're not coaching from the stands. I coach this team. I run it the way I want to run it. And either you can take your kid and go on, or you can stay and have your kid learn something and be able to get to the next level. So it is. And I'm very honest with parents. Because a lot of parents may think their kid is all that, and I have to give them a wake-up call. No, your kid is not that person, but however, these are some things that they do good, but the way you're trying to put them up there, no, this is what they do good, and this is what they need to work on.
I'll be honest with you. I love it more and more the way you speak it because I used to do the same thing and laid out those expectations. And listen, if you're not going to ride with me, well then let's not even start the ride anyway, right? I mean, it's just because this is the way it's going to be. And at the end of the day, I had at one point one of the best players on my team that it just got to a point and I just told him, you know what, man, if you're unhappy, just take the jersey off, go play somewhere else. It's very simple. And it's like, you need me. I'm like, actually, I don't. Like, I don't. Go find somebody else that needs you because I don't need your attitude bringing the rest of the team down. And everybody was like, well, how can you do that? Well, because I have other kids I have to worry about. No disrespect to that kid. Yes, he's a great player. However, if his attitude sucks and, the parents' attitudes suck, well, guess what? It's going to bring the entire team down. And we can't have that. So it's exactly what you're saying. It's so, so true. Happens too much, by the way. Happens too much, in my opinion. Now, speaking of coaching, what's your number one priority when you're trying to develop these young players?
It's listening, because to me, basketball is always a mental game. So, but you have to be able to listen to what I'm telling you and listen to what I'm presenting to you, because if you're hearing me, it's just going through one ear and out the other. And so you have to be able to listen and be able to execute. So those are the two most important things: listen and execute. And I'm very big on being on time, because the first 15 minutes of you walking into the gym tells me everything. If you're not there within 15 minutes before practice, that already tells me something about what type of player you are before you even step on the court. Because if you're 15 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. So, because you ain't stretched, you ain't got loose, you ain't you ain't had time to think about the game, you ain't break it down or anything. So, those are probably the three things I look at very seriously.
The best thing about that is it's, me and you both know, that's molding them too for when they go out into the employment world and they go out, if whether they're running their own business or they're working for somebody. It's so true. So it's those life lessons. Now, how about, here's a good one. What is something that you would say you refuse to compromise on as a coach?
What I refuse to compromise on is probably a lot.
Too much.
I think, like, one thing I'm probably will be more of being able to execute something, because because I'm already looking at the whole entire game. And the thing is, I'm like, okay, I'm telling the player what I'm seeing, and notices the whole game, and for them to probably come back and say, but no, if he's beating you every time, I'm telling you, so it's execution. I'm telling you how to execute the game, how to fill the lanes, how to get back on defense and everything. So I think it's the execution part.
I like that. I do. Because execution is everything. So if you're not executing, a lot of things come about that. Sometimes, okay, it's not always about skill set. It's about mindset too. Like, can you
Yeah.
not, can you not follow? Are you not paying attention? Or there's a lot of things of that. Now, adversity and personal obstacles as we kind of get towards our fun rapid fire section at the end. Now I know you're going to love. Every athlete, everybody, faces adversity at one time. Could be small, could be big. What would you say your toughest moment was in your career?
Um, I think it was the adjusting part, like the mentality of like coming in, being the number one player, then have to adjust to say, hey, we don't need you to score that much. We don't need you to score that much. This is what we need you to do. And the coach is telling you what they need from you. Basically, yeah, we know you could do this, but this is what we need from you. And being able to adjust, because it's hard when your mentality is just, oh, I got to be the main scorer, but then doing other things that, hey, you do this, we can win doing this. So that's probably, and just, but you will learn, because if you want that playing time, you just got to understood your position wasn't solidified. You have five other people sitting there waiting for you to mess up on something. So you had to fight every single day to make sure you had that position.
So true. So true. So such a different situation.
Yeah.
It really is. And then it's that whole mindset that has to shift, right?
Yes.
What version of yourself would you say are you most proud of? The player or the person you became after the game?
I will say probably the person I became after the game, because as a player, I mean, today I'm still learning, but as a player, you're not understanding everything that is being thrown at you. You're not understanding what was being taught at you, and then once you get to that level where you're saying, oh, I get it now. I get it. I understand why the coaches was telling me this. I understand why they were, giving me little quotes during the season. I'm like, why is this close? I'm not in class, but you understand what those quotes mean, what those things mean. And then when you become older, it's like all those was life lessons, and you take those life lessons and you try to teach somebody else those life lessons as well, and give them the knowledge as also.
All about paying it forward, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of what we do. I mean, listen, you're impacting the next generation right now. So, in closing, like, what do you want your players to say about you? Say 10 years from now, what would it be? What would your legacy want to be with them?
Um, it's more to me of, what, as a person, she really she really cared. She really put everything she had into us and poured it into us, not only on the court but off the court.
I love that. This is how we began, right? On and off the court. I listen, I love it. Lot of gems right there. Seriously, a lot of gems right there. Now, I want to get you in the little rapid fire section here. We're gonna keep this, and again, this is just fun. No wrong answers here.
All
Okay.
right.
It's just, I know that, listen, I know all very like, oh man, like that. This is just fun. Again, it goes back and forth, just has a little fun and viral segment at the end here. So I'll ask you first things first. Favorite player growing up?
Favorite player growing up, Magic Johnson.
Oh, Magic. Before not enough people say Magic, right?
Magic Johnson.
I don't know why they forget. I think people forget because I've had this conversation with a lot of people. We're in such a generation where everybody just looks at now,
Yeah.
and right, and nobody really if you watch, and watch him in college at Michigan State, right, and you watch him, into his pro, how much this guy was a unicorn, man. Like
Yeah.
but nobody. Again, I know, and we'll get to Michael later, but everybody talks about Michael, and I love Michael. He's my goat. But at the end of the day, not enough people talk about Magic. So
Yeah.
I love that you just said Magic. That's great.
Yes.
One word and you put it this way: if you could sum up your coaching style in one word, what would it be?
Confident.
Well, I like that. Travel basketball, necessary or overrated?
What was it?
Travel basketball, necessary or
You
overrated?
mean like traveling?
No, me like playing travel ball.
Oh, yes, very necessary. Yes.
Now here's a good one. Toughest opponent you ever faced?
Toughest opponent, Shamiqua Hoslaw. Oh, Cheryl Swoops.
Charles Swoops. There you go.
Cheryl Swoops.
How about one drill every young player must do?
The minute 4.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what that is.
It'll get you in some shape.
Okay. Well, then I probably got to do that real quick then. Even though my minute 4 might be minute 44, you know what I mean? If you weren't in basketball, if you never played basketball, what would you think you'd be doing?
A lawyer.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. Okay. 2 more. GOAT, MJ, LeBron, or someone else?
MJ.
I think it's our generation, LaQuan. I do. I think it's our generation. I ask that question a lot, and because it is the normal question, but what I speak to a lot of younger kids and like, coach, it's got to be LeBron. I'm like, guys, yeah,
they don't like the research, so
well, that's
what
it is. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I put Kobe over LeBron, so that's just
me. Yeah.
So we could have a good discussion one day. Last one, advice that you would give to your 15-year-old self.
Probably the same advice my college coach Leon Barmer gave me. I complained about shoes till I saw a man with no feet.
Oh, I like that. I might have to use that.
Yeah.
I like that. LaQuan, listen, this has been fantastic. I really, really, really appreciate the Sunday night. I know people won't hear this on Sunday night, but it's a Sunday night. You joining me for this. Where can people find you, train with you, connect with you? What do you have going on?
Just basically contact me on Facebook or IG, LaQuan Stallworth or LQ Stallworth. Usually you reach out to me, I respond.
I'm a testament to that. And we will make sure that, as always, all your information will be in on all the platforms that we put this on, and obviously they'll be able to find you. Final message that you can give to athletes, parents, and coaches that are watching this.
I would just say, just allow you to be you, and don't diminish your own light.
That's listen, I like that. It's good advice. That's very, very good advice. In closing, like I say, thank you so much for everybody listening. Thank you, LaQuan, for joining the program. This is what Fighting for Overtime is all about. It's real stories, it's real lessons, and as always, it's real impact. So make sure you like, you subscribe, wherever you get your podcast from, all the social media formats, all the clips for memories of moments. As always,